I hear everything one way, even though they say I don't pay attention. I do everything the same as the way I did it last time. Still you see my life is pitiful, that I'm selfish and predictable. Though I have no voice to disagree, I don't wanna change. Give me time to breathe. I know you want what's best for me. Believe well enough alone. Give me time to realize that I'll find what's best for me, even though it's still unknown. Never get wrong with regret. Let it go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe. The one that you hated. Take a look at it now. I'm the mess you.
All right, everybody, welcome to Dad Talk Today. I appreciate you for being here. This is probably one of the more anticipated shows, even though I know some won't be able to watch it since we're doing it so early. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. This is one of those conversations that my co-host for the day, Mr. Dwayne, will tell you that we're told not to touch, right? With the child support. Don't make it about money, guys. Stop making it about money. If you make it about that, just man up, take care of your kids. It doesn't look good when you talk about money. The lost side of this, Dwayne, is that money was bought with time. And time is something that can't be bought with money. That was time that I could have had with my kids that I sacrificed to take care of them. So when you take my money, you're taking my time from my kids. You understand? That's the part that they don't want you to bring up. And this, we're going to go ahead and get into right away. Okay. This is the most controversial subject that you could talk about in the shared parenting, father's rights community by far. And we knew it would be. I got more calls on this than I did any of the shows combined. And there is no way that we're going to be able to get to all of your calls today. We're going to get to as many as we can. And but if we don't today, you don't hear your voicemail, we're going to do it again tomorrow. If we don't, then we'll probably do it again the next day because we want to cover this subject. And I mean, Dwayne might be asking for it, but I think I might even open the phone lines back up on those days. So if you got something to say, put it in there. If you're somebody that's watching and you're like, because I'm getting tons of these, man, I want to call, but I'm not going to be at home to watch it. Every one of these is on replay. Okay. You can go back and watch it anytime. So with that said, we are going to get into this subject. That is that taboo stigma. Dads don't want to pay child support, the deadbeat. Dwayne, what's your thoughts on the child support system?
Well, actually, someone in the comments already nailed it. Jake Stanley here. Child support is for absent fathers, not failed relationship. It's not about the money. I mean, that captures it right there. Child support was created decades ago, almost 100 years ago.
Yep.
It started out as a number of government programs that were actually for good reasons. We had situations where the main breadwinner at the time, usually the only breadwinner, died, working coal mines or whatever. And the AFDC back in 1935, there was a little bit before that, but that was the main one, was created to help indigent children. And then it basically morphed from the good intention of yesteryear to what we have today. And, that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Title 4D, misinformation. And you know what, guys, we obviously know for everybody that thinks this system is flawed, there's somebody that profited from it. So they think it's amazing. They think it should be done even more. I think this is a hot subject right now, especially with what was going on with Kanye West. Not going on either side of the conversation for Kanye. I mean, guys, think about what that would be like to be going through these situations. I mean, we know what it's like to go through this situation already. Imagine being in all the tabloids. Anybody that wants to be famous or be a celebrity, there's something mentally wrong with you, dude. But $200,000 a month in child support. Now, this is what doesn't make sense to people. At what point is it no longer about support? You're telling me it takes that much to take care of a kid? The one thing that I hear in defense of it is, well, they had a lifestyle. They got to keep up with the lifestyle. Do you think that's a good lesson to tell the kids that they are entitled to that kind of lifestyle, Dwayne?
No, I mean, the realities is that, well, again, in today's day and age, it's usually a 2-income family. And through divorce or separation or whatever the reason, it's now a 2 separate income family, and adjustments have to be made. The statement of, we need to keep children in the lifestyle they were accustomed to is a farce. I mean, there's no other way to really to say that. I mean, child support is a welfare recovery system. That's why it was started.
Yep.
It was to recoup funds that states were paying in welfare benefits, TANF, things of that nature. And then over the decades, it morphed into, and I caution myself using the word profit center, but there are profits to be made as well as recoveries from the federal government.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it's turned into.
Well, so you're saying that some of that money that's going in that big child support might actually be going back to the state?
Yes. Actually, the way it's broke out is, there was a pool of money. And again, I can go down various rabbit holes, and there's laws spanning decades that nuance things. But the way it works is when there's 6 key factors that the federal government's enacted for states to do child support. And if they those, they get a bonus check actually at the end of the year on how well they did. But we've heard the 66 cents and things like that. That's actually recovery money. It's so when you have when you make your, say, $1,000 a month child support, again, there's nuances in there. It's not going to be exact, but the way to think about it is 66 cents of that is going to go back to the individual states based on certain key performance indicators, things of that nature. There's also, again, when you get to sign up, it's a 25 to 35, depending upon your state rule. There's all these different pieces that are brought in there. But at the end of the day, the state's recovering money. They're getting bonus checks for doing a good job. I think actually this last year we topped $600 million that went back to the states of federal money.
Money that came from
our taxes.
Parent taxes.
Yes. I mean, that's where that comes from. And to another, I guess, myth is everyone says, it's Title 4D of the Social Security Act. It's not your Social Security money specifically. I mean, it's federal funds, but it's not, grandpa's. Of course, I'm getting close to grandpa age here, but it's Social Security. It's not Social Security money that's being taken. But again, it's that huge federal pool of money that gets paid in through everybody's taxes. It's not free money.
Definitely, man. You know what, guys? We could probably sit here and talk till this time next week. And then, because everything we do with this subject, people have no idea how challenging it is. We're going to have the sources. We're going to have to be able to show everything we do. And we were planned for that, right, Dwayne? And that's the reason I got Dwayne on here. This is the statistics guy, right? And so we'll dip down into Title 4D and stuff, but instead of being able to read everything, and then because we still got to get to these voicemails, if you got some thoughts on that, bring it up while we're talking, and I'll try to flash it up on the screen. There was one comment on here that I think many of these guys are going to relate to. If they're one of the good ones that is doing everything they can and going through this system that is giving them the challenge, this comment rings true. Mr. Terry Ford said, and the fact that it is only people that are going through this right now is people that want to do it right. The real deadbeats has an escape. It's called unemployment. Well, let's be honest. How many of you guys have sat back that are going through these issues and thought, why is it the good fathers, all of us that are trying, that are coming up short in this system, the real deadbeats who we're being accused of being of, most of the time, nobody cares about them. Let me tell you something. Deadbeats aren't going to be here having the conversation that we're having right now. They're not going to be here. They don't give a shit, man. They don't care anything about the child. They just want to. And you know what? And that's a real stigma for dads. We got deadbeat dads, right? They just don't want anything to do with their kids. You also have the other side that abort kids. Oh, are we gonna get into that? But shouldn't that be looked at as the same way? Maybe not. Well, I'm not gonna go Dave Chappelle on here. You know what happened when he did it. But I'm just saying, there's just so many other sides of this coin. Really quick, before we go off in that area, Dwayne, we talked about wanting to get into this really early on. Again, complex subject to talk about. There's so many different people that has a view of how this system works. And they might say, well, it shouldn't just be clear. I want to give you an example. I want you to look at the Bible. How many denominations has split off of that book? Baptist, Methodist, First Day Adventist, Pentecost. You could go on and on and on. All these different denominations because they all interpreted it different. And I'm going to because it's hard to read. You ever been in the King James Version? Sometimes it could be a little hard to read. These laws is almost like reading the Bible sometimes. They're hard for a lot of people to understand what's going on. So we got to come in here and dumb it down. Even I need that, okay? Because it's very complex to read. At the same time, I believe because of that complexity, there's been a lot of misinformation out there. And this is not me taking shots at anybody that's talked about this, okay? I even saw something at one point in time for every $1 paid in child support that the state's making $7. That was quoted. I mean, is there any truth to that, Dwayne?
No, it's the efficiency part of it. It's for every dollar that is spent on child support collections, they're able to collect. Well, I'll pick on Texas. That's my state. I think it's at $11 to $12. They recover $11 to $12. So it's the spending part of it. Now the 66% cents part of it's on that dollar they spent, not the $11. They're not making $11 for every dollar they spend. Right. But it's automation or doing different things. If I spend $1 on a website and I get to collect $1,000 on in child support off of that website, the return is $999 for every dollar I spent. I collected $1,000. Right. That's how that part works. And again, lots of misinformation. One, and this will probably get me in trouble with a lot of people. And again, all of my data is CDC, HHS, government data. This is not from some tinfoil hat organization or whatever. This is all, again, government data or data, depending upon which version of Star Trek you like. But I lost my train of thought there. But oh boy, I did lose my train of thought.
That's when you know we're getting old. You get
so many pieces.
I've got mine disguised, man. But when you just have that brain fart right in the middle, you go. You got
brain fart. It came back around. So everyone talks about the deadbeat dad. That's where every organization says that. When you look at the actual data off the CDC and the HHS, is actually the mothers. When mothers pay child support, they're ordered to pay far less than men, but they are per capita. They pay less times than men do. So in looking at it, women. Not to further marginalize everything or cause more fires here, but that's the actual data. And what's funny is I think it's 63 or 68% of all past due and all child support debt is owed by people that make less than $10,000 a year. Again, CDC data, not my personal interpretation.
Right.
So when they talk about, we've got to do all these things and there's all this money out there, it's 68% of all the child support money owed is by people that earn really no income. They broke the percentages out to people that have zero, no bank accounts, no nothing. So, there's that narrative.
Well, and that kind of pulls it up. I'll read this comment really quick because this is common. Daniel Rice said, I have an alternative view on this that saved me. I forfeit my father's rights narrative and I adopted the child's rights narrative. Then I found success. That's because of the stigma with dads. That's a part of the problem. I'm going to be honest with you. Let me tell you something. A father's rights is the child's rights.
Right.
But because it's father, it's politically incorrect. This conversation right now is politically incorrect. Let me tell you a conversation you'll hear from these guys all the time. if it was him that was behind on child support, I mean, in the state of Georgia, man, when I was paying child support, if I got 1 month behind, I had a letter in my mailbox saying it was about to suspend my license.
Mhm.
There's other guys that said, hey, I do get child support. I'm supposed to. And they won't do nothing about it. They will not do anything to her. We see that double standard all the time, man. It's just out there. So there's nothing wrong talking about fathers' rights. What's been the problem is guys haven't had a avenue to talk about it properly. And by the time they get in here and they're dealing with these cases, they're about to go nuts. But Dwayne, if you're taking all of my money, I lose everything. Then I'm going through relationship problems. And then on top of it, I'm paying all this so I can see my kid, and I'm not being able to see my kid. Do they not have a reason to be angry?
No, they have every reason to be angry. Child support, again, when it was signed into law, it was President Ford said that he, wants to make sure that it's understood. It's for, I could get the quote here, but it was for, he had reservations when he signed the enacting legislation. Can certain provisions go too far by injecting the federal government in domestic relations, play with serious privacy and administrative issues. And then he goes on to talk more about how it's just to be for failed relationships. It's supposed to just be for people on welfare. That was why it started, of course. And then, it changed over the years. And you can see how the rabbit hole starts because there's so much data out there on that. But again, you take away an adult's right to earn. You take their money from them, they're going to be upset, and they don't get to see their kids, the games played, their relationship is over. And for men, that is a huge, I hate to say ego, but it's a huge shot to your ego. You've had your entire world, everything that defines most men, has just been removed from them. Then they go to court thinking it's going to be like an episode of Matlock, and they walk out a visitor, no money, and they're made to feel like they're horrible people. But what I did, when I went through it, is when I did the research, I realized it's a welfare recovery program. It's made to recover money from the state, and it has nothing to do with the parents. And to go off even more, everything we talk about here is for our children, for my kids, for your kids, for everyone's kids. Of course, this is what we do. I'm going to take care of my children. I provided health care, a roof over the head, food in their belly, and clothes on their back since the day they were born. And then I have a judge tell me, well, you have to do medical. Dude, I've been paying medical for the last 14 years of my kid's life. You don't have to tell me this. And that's a huge ego shot to men. And I know I went off on a tangent there, and I'm sure that's being felt by majority of people out there.
Oh, definitely, man. And it's, again, complex, guys. We're almost 20 minutes in and we hadn't even scratched the surface. And I promise to get your voices out there, but we haven't even touched on Title 4D. And we've got some other stuff that we got to go through. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to go through some really quick topics that guys talk about all the time. Put it down in the comments, okay, as we go over it. In the first one, probably the most popular that we are going to hear is, should a parent be required to give receipts for what they are paying or what they're doing with that money? I do know there is some states that you can ask, where is the money? I was talking to attorney Kevin Hickey this morning. I saw his comment and he said, Eric, in the state of Arkansas, we've got that now. You got to request it. So that is happening some, but are you one of the parents out there watching this? You're paying child support and you want to know where that money's going. You feel like, I see the nails always done, got the nice cars, always going out with the friends, pictures at the bar, and my kids coming over, they got boogers on their face and, hand-me-down clothes. We've seen it. We've seen it. Okay. Are you one of those that thinks there needs to be proof of where it's being spent? I do. And then, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with the money, you got nothing to hide in the first place, right? We're not supposed to be doing a lifestyle. There you go. There's your other question. So you can start answering that one. Is the system set up to actually be child support? Or do you think that in many cases they're providing for a lifestyle? Okay. At what point in time, Dwayne, did the conversation leave? A kid's got to be clothed. They've got to be fed. There's needs. Okay. And if you get in these relationships in here, this might be a little unpopular. I believe there is going to be cases where there needs to be child support.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be stuff. You got guys in the military that's overseas or something like that. Okay. She's taking care of the kids, or it could be a dad. Maybe his ex took off. She committed adultery. She's on drugs or something like that. Dad's got the kid the majority of the time. There's going to be cases where support is needed. I have been a parent that I have gotten child support, and I've also paid child support. I've been on both sides of that equation. And the time that I got it, I was a single dad raising 2 girls with a brand new house that had 2 incomes that had signed on to it. And I find out this is about to end, right?
Yeah.
But at what point are we talking about support versus the lifestyle, and how much is too much? Okay. And the other part about, dude, people that have equal custody, have the kids the same amount of time, paying full amounts in child support in the state of Georgia. I was a 50-50 parent, and both parents sitting there saying, we don't want child support. And they say somebody has to pay child support. Why?
True
Can you
story.
answer that, Dwayne?
Well, the simple reason is, again, the welfare recovery piece of it. Because, again, you have X number of people that are on welfare, the state's paying TANF welfare funds, and they're trying to recover that money. They don't care if they get it from you, me, the guy next door, the girl next door. They want their money, and that offsets the people that are on welfare. Again, to your point, there are times child support makes sense. You know, if you've been married, the one spouse has been, primarily taking care of the provider, or been the primary provider, not in the work system. They get divorced. A step-up program, 5 years. And there's different programs there. But, to what you're talking about, the 50-50, I was actually one of the, less than 5% of Texans that got equal shared parenting, because I think everyone's kind of heard my story. And I still had to pay $1,000 a month in child support while my, ex refused to get a job. She had 8 years afterwards to go to college, do whatever. Didn't do it, and then eventually left. And when I went and got full custody, I said, "Hey, kill the child support." There's actually a video; you can hear it live if you don't believe me. And the judge said, "Someone's got to pay." And I don't want it, but I was told I had to have it. They forced me to get on it. I actually have a card right here that is accruing the monthly child support. And when my youngest son turns 18, I'm going to hand it to him.
Yep.
To your other point, we have actually the child support office, trying to find the link there. They actually have, was it 80, 75, 80, 95? I'm sorry, 95% of all families have debit cards of the 16 plus million. So, and again, it works like a normal debit card. So there's transactions, there's all these different things. So it can be reported what's being spent on it and things like that. And of course, you're going to have your outliers where, they're trying to keep tabs on me and things like that. I mean, that's going to happen. But the overall majority is going to be, use it to take care of the child, not income, not free income.
Oh, I'm with you. It's so hard, guys, not to go down the rabbit hole, because you hear something while each other's talking. I got some to add to that, but there's the other part of that conversation, man. We'll head into Title 4D, because it's probably going to go a little bit over an hour today, guys. Again, like, share, subscribe, and we'll open those phone lines back up. We're gonna break this topic open. But Dwayne, it's not just a Title 4D. Don Hubin from the National Parents Organization was very, very informative on Title 4D for me. And he just sat there and kept explaining more and more ways that this system gets money. And I'm like, holy crap, how am I supposed to go and repeat that? You need to come back on the show, because I'm not going to be able to repeat it. But one of the ways, like, if you're one of these guys that's paying child support and you get it taken out of your check, there's always going to be a processing fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that might not seem like much. What is it? $3 to $5, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. That doesn't seem like much. Maybe you're getting paid every week. You're getting paid every 2 weeks. So that's 2 to 4 times a month that they're collecting that little processing fee. Now, you times how many parents in that state are paying child support. You're probably going to be in the millions every time a processing fee hits, or somewhere close.
Right.
Anyway, I mean, dude.
There's all this other ancillary income that the office of the Attorney General, child support offices, that they get different ways to make money. That's one of the many There's, of course, some states, most states offer interest on your delinquent child support amount. So I think it's 6%. Well, Texas is 6% per annum. I'm sure it's varies by state, but there's different ways that they make money. And also, if you think about it, the Office of the Attorney General or whatever it's called in your state, just think, well, if you were an employer and you knew that you could get 66 cents back on all the people that you hired to do the work of the Office of the Attorney General, you would hire more people and things like that. Again, I keep picking on Texas because I'm here, but the majority, I think it's 68% of the staff for the Office of the Attorney General, who handles all of Texas for every lawsuit, every whatever that we have, they have the majority of their people working on child support. Why? Yep. It's their money maker. That's how they make their budget every year.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. You know what? I think what we're going to have to do, I had a comment down there that says, you guys need to cover this all next week. Would y'all like to get on this? Because I'm telling you, we could do it for a whole week and still not be able to talk about it enough. We didn't even get into Title 4D, and that's going to be almost a whole episode. I've got another one planned for you guys. I'll be recording a little bit later on today because I want to be able to control the emotions. This guy is hot. I told everybody a little bit about it last night. State of Georgia, where I'm at, it's only supposed to be like 20% of your paycheck for one child, or like 23 for two children. Guy makes $250,000 a year, Dwayne. After his child support is taken out, he's bringing home $25 a paycheck. And I always say, people are like, what? I'm like, it's worse. He pays $4,500 a month in alimony out of that $50 that he's left. So he's negative $4,450. Now, obviously, he's still here and he's surviving. But when I first met this guy, dude, you're talking about a broken mess. Mm-hmm. I mean, just a broken mess. I even went and bought the guy a counselor. Because, I mean, dude, I can't imagine. What are you supposed to say? It's going to get better. I don't want to give you guys false hope. I don't want to depress you, but I don't want to give you false hope either. This guy has an amazing spouse. And I'm going to tell you, I was shocked how many women chimed in today. We just had several comments down here that's got a new husband or somebody that. Can you hear me?
There you are. Yeah, your audio blanked out there for half a second. There you
Hold on, guys. I lost my
You're on.
I lost my microphone right in the middle of that. You can hear me all right now?
I can hear you. Yeah. You're good. You're making a great point too. Yeah,
man. These ladies, keep speaking up. Your voices behind this are huge, 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 huge. And I thank you for being here. I even said, if there's somebody out there that don't agree with us and what we're talking about here, you think this system is set up just like it needs to be, right? We want to hear from you too.
Oh, definitely.
We're not just here in the echo chamber. Bring it in. Let's discuss it. So I think we can do a whole week on this. Title 4D, Dwayne, we might have to hit on that one tomorrow. But when you see, that's what I was talking about. The gentleman that I'm going to have on, dude, his wife has supported him, helped him pay that, keep his head above water. There are some good women out there. I got one. You got one. I know several of these guys that got them. So don't think this is on here about hating women. Some of them are our biggest supporters. We are talking about a certain type. And you know what? This conversation doesn't, it has some responsibility on women that allow it, right? But this particular conversation is on the backs of the family courts. They created this system, and they know this system creates conflict, right? They know it does. And that's why they shame you if you talk about it. Don't talk about our money-making scheme. I don't care whether it was the male domestic violence we was talking about the other day, whether it's CPS, whether it's family court, paternity fraud, and you're going to hear from some of these guys. I had some voicemails coming in earlier that are paying child support after they find out the kid's not even theirs, right? Because the system still has to make child support. And you wonder why some of these guys are going crazy. I've been asked to cover, we're just going to be straight up, man. I've been asked to cover some of these cases where some of these guys went to take matters into their own hands. They thought that violence was the way. I don't go for that. Guys, they already look at us as a group of angry dads. So if stuff like that happens, there's a reason that we don't cover it here. that doesn't mean we don't understand how these guys are getting to the edge, right? We understand how they're getting to the edge. You take away everything from a man and he feels like nothing he does gets him any justice. It's sad, man. It really is sad. So I want you guys to, tune into that one. And yeah, I mean, if you guys are up for it, we'll do it all next week and we'll get into these voicemails because Title 4D, Dwayne, so they know what we're going to be covering in that future episode with Title 4D. This is going to be hard for you. Give me a brief summary.
Well, I mean, Title 4, we're talking about, how the inception of where we got to Title 4D. And then, again, we need to make that brief because there's so many laws that just, they pile it. Again, it started out as a good program. Back before Title 4D was Title 4D. And then it just slowly morphed into what it is today. So, quick history on how we got here, and then breaking down what Title 4D actually is, the different changes that different legislative bodies put in there, why they did it, the original intent. Of course, at that point, the original intent was pretty well over, and then getting into the numbers. Each the overall, for the U.S., how much they recover, how much they make, the incentives, the different pieces of it. And then, trying to find, also, we need to talk about ways to get this, again, as you pointed out of the echo chamber and into the public square to where you can easily articulate this to somebody else. Because again, the stigma is it's deadbeat dads. If you don't pay child support, you're a horrible person, all these things. And we've got to change that narrative with facts and data.
Well, and you got to crush those narratives. That's a episode I'm wanting to get into. There's all these different stigmas and narratives that come against you to keep you silent. If you don't go to family court, you're not fighting for your kid. If you don't pay child support, you're a deadbeat. You don't want to be with your kid. If you're not going through their system, you're going to end up with one of these labels. Make no mistake, guys, whoever's showing up today, again, like, share, subscribe. Not about being a popular show. Dwayne, we've been doing politics for years with this movement. We see where that's getting us. The one thing that's never happened is we've never had all of these guys here to join in on the conversation, right? And they've done like I was talking about it last night, they've done the million man marches, million father marches because they think that's going to happen. And nobody shows up. And you know what? No. That seems like there's no support. It doesn't look good optics. We're always having to worry about optics. The reality is, if I'm a guy that's going through this system that really wants to see it change, I'm at work and I cannot leave. I cannot afford a day off. So we might not be able to take to the streets in Washington, D.C. or your capital, but we can do it here. And as long as you guys get in here and you join the conversation, I believe this is the answer that we've been waiting for a long time. And we're going to make sure that we get the conversation out in a good way. Okay. All right. But that was the brief on Title 4D. Okay. Like I said, guys, make sure you're tuning in. I still got voicemails coming in, even though I cut off the phone line. But like I said, we got a week to do this. So keep them coming in. 762-441-0281. We are going to get to our first caller of a lot. Here we go.
Hi, Eric. My name is Rhonda. I'm calling from Iowa. And I just wanted to call and say that you are doing a fantastic job. I know that all the dads out there are really appreciative of everything that you do for them. And I know it's hard, but keep at it, man, because you're doing a good job. As far as child support goes, no, I don't think that child support is in the best interest of the child, personally. I know that sounds a little backwards, but I feel that, quite honestly, if you can't afford on your own to take care of a child, much like I did, because I'm an ex-wife. I have 2 boys from a previous marriage, and I am now a stepmom. And I had to take care of them by myself because I wasn't going to financially rape my ex-husband. It was more important for him to spend time with our children. Did he help out? Yeah. We had a system that worked. And I think that that's a big issue here is that, the government, which should not be getting involved in all of this, is getting involved in it. That is not what our government is set to do. That's not what we're supposed to be doing with that. And I think that, they're just trying to do that long reach of Big Brother, and it's just not working as we're seeing. Do I think that some child support in certain circumstances is okay? Sure. I mean, the children are of both parents. They should be, helping out, much like my ex-husband helped out. We still talk about our children today, and they're grown. They're 25 and 31. So, I think that it's about fostering a better reunified family unit rather than, who's going to get their nails done. I'm just saying. So yes, I do feel that some of it is for a lifestyle. I feel that these women, because let's face it, it's not the men doing this in the majority of the instances. These women have these children and they're using them as pawns against these guys. I think it all comes down to that they should have receipts and that it should be in the best interest of the child. The whole entire family court system needs to be overhauled. I wish I knew how to do it. I wish I had better ideas, but I don't. Maybe one day I will. But for right now, I think somebody vastly smarter than me should be out there trying to figure this out because these kids are growing up broken. And I am studying to be a psychologist, and I'm going to be specializing in childhood trauma of divorce because let's face it, these kids need help. Hi, Eric. My name is.
Wow.
Replay. Wow. Yes. Thank you for that. And I'm glad to know that
Wow.
there's people like you that are getting involved. There's the conversation that leaves again when you're talking about child support, equality, right? Most of the time, if you're paying child support, that's not all that you're going to do. The dad is going to be responsible for healthcare, which can be just like paying another child support in many cases. Why isn't that cost half? If I cover the medical care and that's coming out of my paycheck, should that half of that not come out of my child support because there's another half over here? Are we making them do their part? And the thing that sucks, again, where did support and the needs of the child leave the conversation? If you know that they're going to need health care, so that's something that we're going to provide. There is a need that's met. They're going to need diapers. They're going to need formula. They're going to need clothes. They're going to need food. Couldn't we say, here is the list of what needs to be done, and then make sure that that parent is fulfilling that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of these guys would care. I don't think that they would get upset if they knew that they were providing stuff that was going to be used for their kids. What about you, Dwayne? Do you think that they would be upset if they knew that this was going to take care of their kids?
Yeah, I can't imagine any parent being upset as long as the children are being taken care of. That's what all this is about is but when you see one parent getting their nails done and hair and going to parties or going to, other countries on vacations and whatnot, and their kids come over for their, first, third, and fifth weekends or whatever in, religious shoes, holy shoes, and, boogers in their nose and not being taken care of, you're like, wait a second. Again, it's like, to put it a different way, the, government, your taxes, you put all this money, you pay all this money in your taxes, it gets taken out of your check, and then you don't see what's being done with it. And I want to see receipts. I want to see what's going on. But again, any parent, any real parent, they're doing everything for their children. And I see, parents talk about, I pay child support because I want my children taken care of.
Well, and there's some of these cases that these parents are paying child support and they get along with the ex. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be together anymore, but they get along. They know their kids are being taken care of.
Right.
It's peace and harmony, right? They just didn't want to be together anymore. But again, the child's being taken care of, and that's not a problem. But I want you guys to go to these cases with this high conflict, like we talked about this past week, male domestic violence, parental alienation, false allegations and stuff. Unfortunately, because of the bias in family court, many times that alienator or that person that does that has the upper hand. Mm-hmm. Well, now you got somebody that wants to use the kids as a weapon, and it's not just about the kids. I don't even think it was about the kids in the first place. It's not about them not wanting you to be with your kid. It's not about them just not liking you as a person. It is about character assassination. When you see one of these people, it's going to be everything about you. If you buy yourself something to eat, you get some new clothes. If you do anything that's outside of them, you get a new girlfriend or what. Everything
Mhm.
you do is going to be criticized. And now, not only do they have the control of the kids, but now they know that you have to provide something for them because they got a piece of paper from this court. You're paying this child support. You're paying the health care. One of the most
Under threat of jail.
dude, one of the things that you see the most that happens to these guys is when they have to reimburse, for doctor's bills or all these other costs. And what they'll do, they have to use Our Family Wizard or one of those parenting apps, and then they will save all these charges you don't know. And then here comes 100. I've seen it.
Mhm.
These guys don't even know how to plan for the month. There will be these bogus charges. Let's get into cases of Munchausen's. That's something we don't talk about as much, where one parent constantly have a kid that's getting sick to get attention for themselves.
Yeah.
Shit, dude, that's rampant nowadays. I see it all the time.
And it's
And
doing
he-
nothing but damaging the children.
It
That's-
is.
At the end of the day, that's, I mean, what actually was Rhonda Gagne. I'm going to butcher her name there, but she was the caller. She was in the comments. So that was
Gagne.
me. Yes, Rhonda Gagne.
I think it's Gagne.
Gagne.
I had a wrestler that had that last name. It's the only reason I knew it.
But she nailed it. I mean, again, there's so many different pieces here. I've got all these different ideas swirling in my head, but supporting the children, that is what it's all. That's everyone here. It's about supporting your children. It's not trying to get out of an obligation. It's not trying to do all these different things. There are those out there, and I think that's the 68% of the people that owe child support that have zero income, zero intention on paying things like that. Gagne, there she goes.
Gagne. Okay,
There
I
we
was
go.
wrong.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda. That was, by the way, great comment. You need to call in.
Yes.
Next week should have you on. I mean, you said everything that needed to be said right there, better than I think anybody else could. It was just a great voicemail. But again, it's all about taking care of the children. And when you play these games with child support, and if you get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, I'm gonna take you back to child support court and do this. And I mean, this happened personally. Is my ex-wife took me back to court for more child support. Different story. And I had to pay for that to happen. And that's insult to injury. And it does nothing for the children. It's not helping them out. And that's why we're getting all these medical issues, and our children are growing up with problems. I'll just say that.
I'm with you, dude. Like, really quick, give some personal experience in this arena for me. I was paying child support. I didn't have the greatest job, making like $10 an hour and paying $300 a month. Okay, that might not seem like much, but when you're only bringing home like $1,100 or $1,200, that's a lot, because I'm still having to pay for gas bills and everything. I was young, and then that's what I had to do. But I wanted to better myself, and I believe if you want to better yourself, you'll get out there and you'll do the work that it takes to do it. So I didn't have time to go to college because I was a dad and working the job. I went for 3 months and put myself through CDL school because I could get a little bit of a pay increase, right? But it wouldn't take too much of my life to get there. And when I did, I was approached by UPS, who said, and it was a good job. It's a good job. They don't just start you off in your position. You have to start off loading trucks. They do what's called paying your dues.
Right.
And when they did this, they said, you'll have to do it 1 month, and then we'll have you on a route. That shit went on for a year, dude. And it was just hang in there. But what was happening is I was working my first job 10 hours with an hour commute. And then I had to leave that job 30 minutes and go to my UPS for 5 or 6 hours. I was working 17 and 18 hours a day, Dwayne, 5 days a week, no life, eating supper at midnight. But I said, I'm doing this to better myself. This is what happens to dads that try. Now, my child support at that time was coming out of my first check. So even though I was broken down and I didn't have no time for myself, my weekends were sleeping because of how tired I was, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least I'm going to have a little extra money coming in because I'm working the second job. Oh, boy, was I shocked to see what happened. They started taking child support out of my second paycheck. And because that was just a part-time job, they was taking full-time child support out of my first job, full-time child support out of my second job, and I ended up paying money to work the second job that was killing me. Right? I called the child support office, and dude, so many times they wouldn't do anything about it. The only thing I finally got out of them after calling for months and months and months, this went on for almost a year, is they said, well, we'll just let you stop paying a little bit sooner before your child turns 18, but you can't get the money back. How is that not criminal? I mean, that is theft, man. That is.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, when you're talking, it reminded me of my story, I guess. So went through my thing, paying $1,000 a month child support, had 50-50 custody. Now I have a bachelor's degree. I've got alphabet soup after my name, certifications. I work in a highly technical position, yada yada yada. At my age, I was working a full-time job, taking care of the kids half the time. I worked as a U-Haul a scheduler for 4 hours from home every morning. And then on weekends, I delivered bounce houses. Big old bounce houses. That's what parents do to make sure their kids are taken care of. I'm not wanting to sit here and, oh, look at me. I'm just trying to tell everyone that's out there, that's the parent you need to be. You do what you've got to do to make sure your kids are being taken care of.
We weren't screaming it to the rooftops when we were doing it. We're talking about it years later, saying, look, this is what it takes to be a dad. And even then, the system comes and punishes you for your hard work. Yeah.
They were getting their $1,000 a month in child support plus medical, and then they took 20 some odd % out of the U-Haul position, and then they were taking money from me delivering bounce houses. And when I say deliver, I mean these huge things. I would put them on my back and like next to the 20-year-old kids, set these things up for kid parties and things like that on my weekends. I didn't have my kids, and they were taking the money out.
The answer is with politicians that created that system.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, man. It's time to get a new fight going on. Not to put my tinfoil hat on, though. As I'm sitting here hearing your story, we both had a job that started with a U. UPS U-Haul. Anyway, it's just crazy how similar some of the stories can be. Oh, yeah. I know as we're sitting here talking about our personal story, we're not on here to talk about us. We're doing it because we know that there's people out there in the audience hearing this saying, that's me, that's me, that's me. I guarantee you, I saw the comments. I had 2 full-time jobs. I did this too. This is something that happens all the time. We didn't come on here as experts. We come on here and talk about our situations, and people show up because it's their situations too.
Yeah, I'm hoping this resonates with everyone listening in. That everyone has, I was that guy. I was doing this. I was that girl. I was, helping out. I was doing all these things. I was the girlfriend or the new wife or the husband, whichever that situation is. And I was supporting my spouse through, trying to pay child support. The story you gave about your friend there that was under I think $4,000 a month. I mean, you have, of course, Wendy Perry on Divorce Corp, showing the female side of it. She was in hers was on the Divorce Court movie. We have all these people, that are involved that are having to help out to make people make ends meet. But anyway, this is what parents are. This is what we do. We don't need government intrusion, and we don't need them, profiting off of the work that we do trying to see our children.
I'm getting to the voicemails, but you just keep getting me fired up, Dwayne. And then I can't help myself. Again, we got to crush the narratives that's been put against dads. If you don't go through the system, if you don't pay, if you don't do this, you're a deadbeat. The reality is we've spent so much time trying to strategize about how to win in this crooked system. There's no winning in this system. It was made to be the business that it is. Yes. The whole construct of family court in the first place, that the government tells you when you can see your own flesh and blood, that you have to go prove to some government official and hire a third-party attorney that's going to charge you more than a doctor to go in there and do this. The whole construct of it is just asinine, man.
Whack.
Asinine. And guys, it can only exist if we don't push back. So when we have these conversations, We'll do it again tomorrow. Don't be the guy that just calls in your voicemail and says, I got that off of my shoulders, or that gets through his case and says, okay, I'm done, because it's going to be your kids and grandkids next. And when you don't show up, we're just talking heads on here, but you showed up on this one. And if I don't get to it, we ain't going to get to hear from all of you. So we're going to get to our next caller. The voicemails are still coming in, even though I cut the phone line. So you know what? Next week, we'll do it again. So just keep them coming in. 762-441-0281. Here's our next caller.
Hey, my name's Steve, Stephen Thatch. I'm from St. Louis. I've been able to speak with many leaders in the shared community. It's pretty cool that there's a few that live here in St. Louis that are spearheading the big issue. I do and I don't agree with child support. I don't think 50-50 equals shared parenting with joint physical and legal should have any welfare. I do see it as extortion. I see it as financial abuse. I see it as parental alienation for financial abuse. And I do think the states are very much, just as much as that alienating welfare receiving parent. I believe they're just as much criminal, and what it should be looked at as criminal. I think anybody that doesn't have 50-50 for whether their own elected reasons or not, I do think they should probably be putting forth financial assistance, but I don't think the state should steal from everybody, all citizens in the whole nation, Social Security through the Title IV defunding. I believe that is so corrupt, so criminal. That is the very definition of child trafficking. I don't understand other than they get to steal. I have 50-50. I spent $10,000 going through court simply just asking for 50-50. I got that, luckily, but I still have to pay child support because I make a certain amount over the mother. So I don't agree with it. I believe it's a very corrupt system. I do think there should be at least some form of card that the money can be spent on only the kid, because it's obviously free to be spent on many things unchecked. I know we're hitting up rebuttable presumption in every state by state, falling like dominoes eventually here. I know some we're starting to make progress. I know that's the first step. And hopefully once we get that going, we can start moving on to other areas of reform in family law, and that's what we need to keep on doing. So thanks.
Hey, brother, I appreciate the call. I got a couple of thoughts about that. You guys, if you only knew some of the work that goes on, that's why I wanted to say one of my heroes in this community that many people probably have no idea who she is, Linda Reitzel. I was actually in Missouri last year, up in Jefferson City at the Capitol, and we marched that whole thing. They have been trying to get shared parenting there for like 7-8 years. And she's had a bill that's went through every year. It gets all the way through one chamber. And then there's the same person that blocks it every single time. That's an attorney. And while I was there, I knocked on the door, wanted to have a conversation. She was standing right in front of me. I don't have time. What are you talking about? Shared parenting. Oh, no. Give me your card. I'll get back to you. Never got back to me. And I don't think they're ever going to get back to me. But that's kind of the battle that you're fighting there. You know, I've heard from a lot of parents out in that state of Missouri. It's crooked. Most of these states are crooked. You're going to be hearing from all over the country right now. Missouri is where the Justin Goolsby case went down, Dwayne, where the father was shot just like John Mast. I mean, we are hearing these nightmares all across the country, man. And, you know, the sad thing is we could go in many different areas with it, but I think it all kind of starts at the top with child support and money, right? And then it starts trickling down. So this is a big part of the conversation that needs to be happening. You have any thoughts about that, caller?
He nailed a lot of it. I mean, it sounds like, again, kind of categorizing his comments with others. They fall in the same thing. I mean, child support's for deadbeat parents, not failed relationships. If it should be 50-50, the rebuttable presumption piece of it, again, it's the idea here is that two parents are assumed to be fit when they walk in, and they get to say, hey, this is the custody. They figure out what makes sense for them. If the guy or the woman is a pilot and is gone 3 weeks out of the month, well, 50-50 doesn't make sense. You work something out that makes sense for that schedule, and then you work out an equitable solution to make sure that child's taken care of. That's how adults are supposed to handle stuff, not the cookie cutter situation where two parents walk in, one parent walks out a visitor, and put in indentured servitude for the rest of the next 18, 21, 25 years of their life, all for profit.
Yeah.
I mean, he nailed it.
Oh, he definitely did, guys. We're barely touching the calls that have came in. So again, if you don't hear it today, please show back up. Do me a favor. If you're on Facebook, if you're liking or following the page, up at the top, there's going to be a little bell. Ding that bell, because that way you get notified when we go on. Let me tell you about some of the challenges we have about talking to these subjects, Dwayne. 2 days ago, or actually yesterday, but 2 days ago, I did an episode and I got a notification yesterday morning. YouTube took it down.
Mm-hmm.
They took it down. I was talking about male domestic violence. And then I had one flashing up, community standards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we're protecting and talking about rights, and we're doing it in a very fair manner here.
Right.
We're not discriminating against anybody. We're just talking about the overall problem. And I would say the same thing if you're on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed and ding that bell, because when we do this content, this is how we fight back at the narrative. Your voices are so important right now, guys. You have no idea. And I appreciate every one of the callers for being able to do this with the demeanor that you're doing right now. I know a lot of them is probably like, you want me to tell you what I really think? Right. We understand that one too, but keep those calls coming in and make sure you show up to these shows. Share it with somebody that you know that they are going through this. Look, every time, and this is why I'm stressing that, almost 500,000 people on this page on Facebook, right? 13.7 thousand on YouTube. Every time you like, share, and subscribe, it opens up the algorithm and throws it out to our audience. We have the audience. I promise you. Dude, the stories are nonstop. The problem is getting this out there. We're not mainstream media, so this is the avenues that we have to get the conversation out. But as long as you guys know that and you participate in that when we do it, it's going to get out there, and we're going to continue to have the conversations. Keep the voicemails coming in, 762-441-0281. Here's our next caller.
Hi, Eric. First, I would like to say thank you. Sorry, I have a little cold. I'd like to say thank you for all the hard work that you do. I know it's not easy. As far as child support goes, some is understandable. I'm a stepmom, and my two daughters are wonderful, but my husband pays an exorbitant amount of money because he doesn't live in state, and it's supposed to be for, so their continuity of life can continue once the divorce is over or once the marriage is over. And it just doesn't work out that way ever. And let's just face it, this is about moms versus dads. And, women are very, very rarely made to pay child support. And if they are, it's not enforced. And these men are getting raped. We pay several $1,000s a month for two teenage daughters, and that's just absurd. I do feel some child support is okay, but through the government, absolutely not. It's the long reach of Big Brother, that's not what our government is made for. Also, I do feel that receipts should be a thing. If you're wanting money, if you can't do it on your own as a parent, and trust me when I say I'm an ex-wife, I received child support, but it wasn't that I raped him. In fact, I fought to get it lowered for him because when he lost his job. So it's all about equitability and equability. I don't think that's the right word, but it's all about being fair. And the courts are not being fair to these men, and the whole thing needs to be overhauled. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah. Thanks for what you do. I appreciate it. And I know that all the dads out there appreciate it too.
Thank you so much. You know, I got a couple of thoughts on that really quick. I'm going to try to get to a few more of these calls. She talks about how it's mom versus dads. You know, let me tell you why this is such a dangerous topic, especially in today's political climate. We've got cases like Jeff Younger and all these other situations that are going on that you want to talk about it. You want to raise awareness, but in the PC and the cancel culture, if you talk about certain topics, you're going to get censored. You know, that's kind of what we was talking about a second ago. It's the same thing with fathers' rights. And in many ways, the people that are pushing these agendas have done a really good job because they know that they can push this agenda. And I dare you to talk about it because they've got so many things in their favor. Is that not indicative of what dads have been going through for decades? You're going through these problems, but don't talk about it. It's the same thing with child support. You can't talk about it because it's just not going to be good and people aren't going to want to listen to you. You're a man going through the system. And it really sucks, man. It really sucks that so many people have tried to cancel these guys' voices. If it was them on the other end going through these situations, I guarantee you they'd be screaming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Get them to live in the world they create and transfer. Yeah, that caller there again, nailed it. And she has a different, a different perspective, but it's becoming more and more common. She's a stepmom. She's seeing this from a whole different perspective, and that's one of the things that I try to tell people is, that are not they don't agree with my thoughts on it. Is I'm like, you have sons. You're going to become a wife to someone with that, and then is that what you want to deal with?
The thing about this whole father's rights subject, I've had so many people, Eric, you're being divisive talking about dad so much. Am I really? Because I think the overall conversation right here is empowering men to speak and getting equality. Because anybody that says there's equality for men, you're crazy. And guess what happens if the majority of these guys show up and they start creating change and we get equality? Then everybody gets equality. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And for any of the other side that's going through that too, we want you here. We'll fight with you. But don't discredit these guys when they speak. Stop the mom's too crap. Stop it.
Right.
I'm telling you, man, it gets old. It gets old. Empower these guys to speak. All right. Let's get to these. We're already at an hour, Dwayne. I knew this was going to happen. It's going to be one of those subjects. I appreciate you guys for being here with us. 762-441-0281. Let's get to this next call.
Hey, guys. My name's Steven. I'm from Georgia. I'm currently married and have kids with my parents. Thank God me and my wife have a good relationship. I want to tell you all about the experience when I grew up. My mother and father divorced. And when I was in fourth grade, my mother was very abusive, very ugly. Abusive in all areas, physical, verbal, emotional, sexual, everything. I tried and raised Cain to go live with my dad. She finally let me, but she used my dad's child support as extortion because she knew that the court system in Georgia, she would always be able to get custody of him. So she allowed me to go stay with him under the condition he continued to pay her $1,000 a month for child support until I was 18. So my father was basically, blackballed into paying for her lifestyle for years. I didn't even live with her. But being the dad he was happy to do it because it was live with him and have a place to grow up. Happens a lot. It happens a lot with friends. Child support, obviously, you need to take care of your kids, but it's not done fairly. And I definitely think there needs to be some way to track how that money's spent. That needs to be spent on the kids, not for a lifestyle. I don't support alimony, period. That's not child support. But anyway, that's my experience, Phil. And I feel for all the dads out there that are trying hard. Keep chin up, guys.
Brother, thank you so much. It almost sounds like he was at work. I don't know if that was music or a forklift in the background. But, you know, we've heard from the dads. Today we've heard from moms, and we just heard from the child. And let me tell you something, children's perspective is huge. So if there's any of you out there that have a parent that you've seen go through this, please continue to share those experiences. And thank you. Thank you for doing that. He's in my state, you know. It seems like Texas seems to take over sometimes these conversations, Dwayne. But, you know, I think Georgia's like number 46 out of the worst states. It's bad here, dude.
Y'all are trying. It's going to take a while to knock Texas off their rung there. I mean, again, let's see here. Last year, for our bonus check that we got was $89.5 million. Whereas Georgia, you guys were close, $16.8 million. and I'm sort of joking about, you know, federal money that's, you know, being used to incentivize states to break the backs of parents. But I mean, the data is all out there. That you can, you know, get this information and again, arm yourself with knowledge and have that conversation. Someone's asking where Minnesota, let me get back.
And Ohio.
See, Minnesota is at 11.5 million. Ohio is at 33 million. Yeah, one of the reasons we talk about Texas so much is even though, you know, as far as the number of people, California actually beats us in the number of people on child support, but we pretty well trounce them in how effective we are with child support collections and how much we break those backs as much as possible. Again, we win year over year. The pool's right at it's right at 600. Well, it's a little bit more. You never earn as much, but it's right at $6 million now as of 2021. It just keeps going up.
So they're already getting on another conversation. We'll probably have to do that the week after child support, but alimony is coming up.
Oh,
and that's one. That's a whole. That's what I said, dude. Such a big rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys want to take the red pill, we'll do it together.
Oh yeah.
Let's go on and let's do it together. But we are going to get to some more calls. 762-441-0281.
Hey, this is from Georgia. I would just want to say appreciate all what y'all do, but that's not why we're here today. Let's talk about the child support. In my opinion, I pay.
Let me pause that. I laughed. I'm glad I'm hearing from Georgia. That was 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at your situation. Anyway.
I pay child support. Okay. I'm more for it. I pay what the court tells me to, but my issue is that yes, I'll do what the court tells me to, and I think that you know that sometimes it's rigged to where the woman gets more out of it than the man. I mean, in legal terms, like what we've been told, like in the lawyer office, is like, well, we make sure that we don't put you in a situation where you can't, you know, able to survive. Well, here's my example. Okay, I pay $710 a month for child support, and my wife makes my ex-wife. Okay, probably makes way more than I do. And I only make $8 an hour. All right. So, of course, you know, I do what the judge tells me to. I do what legally I'm told to do. I pay my child support. But in terms of when the kids come home, all right, you know, I expect that they're getting nice clothes and all that. No, when I pick them up for child support, my time with my kids, okay, they're always raggedy. There's always something wrong with them. There's something medically wise, you know. Then I ask my ex, it's like, hey, what's going on with them? She won't tell me. He says, well, who's their nurse, who's their doctor that they go see, so I can call them and tell them what's going on, so they can tell me if you don't feel comfortable. She won't tell me. Okay, and then I ask, I said, well, why? And I ask, I said, why are you sending me the rack of clothes when I'm sending you this amount of money? Okay, I do believe there needs to be a change in the system where both sides, there's a mutual area where we send money to, and we see where that money is being spent. Okay, I 100% guarantee that money needs to go to their clothing, they need to go to their education, they need to go to supporting their activities. You know, I'm down for that, but but it does not make any sense when, you know, when my kids are coming, they're raggedy, they're sick all the time, and it's why I'm getting a refusal, even though we have joint custody, with her primarily on the other thing, you know, on the primary making decisions. I don't understand that, but, you know, I asked the question, like, why is this going on? In fairness to trial, yes, I do 100% guarantee that hey,
I cut off. You know, just to show, guys, if you're watching, when he said they come to my house raggedy, always sick. Show of hands. How many of you have said that statement? And I guarantee that's a popular one. But put that in there. You know, that just kind of makes me think, Dwayne, and I know this goes on in all states, but there's some parts of this conversation that we might not have touched on before. Like, you hear how much this guy is paying, but then you hear he's making $8 an hour. To some of these guys that are paying this amount, it might not seem like much, but then when you find out what they're making, like Georgia and Texas, I couldn't afford a house in Texas for what I make in Georgia. There is no way.
Right.
There is no way. That's why when I do cars and stuff, I send them to Texas. Okay. Because you're not going to get it over here. You don't have jobs. It's cost of living.
Right.
People make a little bit more. So this guy's making $8 an hour. And I'm sitting there doing the math in my head. That's 320 times 4. That was at 640. It's $1,280. $1,280 a month. Well, he's still got to have taxes taken out. So what's he left with? $1,000
if he's lucky.
Okay. But he had to pay for gas going back and forth.
Oh yeah.
God forbid if he had to eat lunch in between his lunch break while he's doing these hours. And then
insurance.
700. Yeah. Insurance. Yeah. Because they're going to have him for insurance, right?
Yeah.
The guy's got nothing left, but that's what you got to do if you want to see your kids. Mm-hmm. At what point did we say, these guys' lives don't matter anymore? You had a kid, you had a divorce, you should have been a better man. You need to man up, you need to pay. And that's why that narrative is so deadly. They could give a rat's ass, Dwayne, if these guys are dropping like flies, or they talk about men's mental health, right? Because that gets people to give you donations on Giving Tuesday, but they don't give a shit about mental health. If they did, they would address these issues. You're causing the mental health.
And we have the data. We have now 50 years worth of data that shows what all this is doing to most children and the parents. And you can only give it to these legislators and judges and lawyers and these people so many times when it changes from I didn't know or whatever to I'm here to make some money. And actually a report just came out. Lawyers are having severe mental issues. Suicide rates are up and things like that, because I think deep down they know what they're doing, and it just eats at their soul, whether you believe in one or not. It eats at it, and they just can't. I mean, all this negative, all this stuff, killing these parents, and then their kids see this, because again, men are designed, created, however you want to look at it, to be providers. That's what we do, and when we're not allowed to, or we have that taken away from us, we can't play anymore. We can't do it.
And we haven't even touched on this. I mean, I talked a little bit about it earlier, but we got a comment down here. We'll end up in a whole other direction. The Juan Garcia is saying my driver's license is being threatened to be taken away. You're not paying the money, so we're going to take your way to get back and forth to work. How many of you have almost lost your driver's license over this stuff? It's not that they care about the child or their best interest. There's all the stigma, the narrative, the whole construct of it is meant to make men slaves to the system. They found out how to profit off of it. And how dare you men get together and talk about it? Right. How dare you get together and talk about it? We were going to make that politically incorrect too. Dude, the facade. I mean, we need to expose the Wizard of Oz. We really do.
Yeah, we do.
It's beyond time to do it, man. All right. I want to keep going, and I know you do too.
Let's go.
Let's get some voicemails.
It's go time.
Yeah, I'm talking. We could just keep talking, even just on the driver's license issue alone, man.
Yeah.
Just on that one alone. Guys, keep them coming. 762-441-0281.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Paul Cosby. I'm from Long Island, New York. Been separated for almost 4 years. I do not pay child support at the moment. My ex-wife is fighting me for child support. Since we've been separated, she has completely quit working in the state of New York. I've paid for everything for our children, from pre-K to sports. They are, at the moment, I have a pretty decent schedule with my children. They're with me after school until 8 p.m. every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we rotate the Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday. My ex-wife used to make more money than me, bartending and waitressing, and she pretty much just gave up and is fighting me for child support, where I'm a working single parent now, and everybody knows how hard it is on a single parent's one salary. I mean, I'm a union electrician. I make a decent living, but I get up and go to work every day and do it. And I have a support system that helps me get the children from school if I need and drop them off, and they do very well with me. My ex-wife missed 26 days of school one year during her custody, and I fought that my son has a learning disability and it's not right, and she just abuses prescription pills and wants to live that welfare lifestyle. And so far, the judge has not made too much acknowledgement about her getting a job or needing to have some type of career. It's her unstableness and her being unhinged, her not being able to get along with people, which is not what you should see in an ideal parent. Raising children with structure, routine, discipline, and a lot of love, of course. But I've been fighting it and showing up to court, missing days of work, having to pay maintenance, having to pay lawyer fees, having to pay for the children's lawyer. It's been a really rough road, but I'm trying to take the high road. I'm trying to co-parent with her better, and that comes with taking classes and bettering yourself and not adding into their drama, and having a good support system, and your mental health is very important. And I wish every father in this fight luck, and being there for their children is very important. All right, and I wish everybody a happy Friday, and keep your heads up, guys.
Boy, how many times
Love
have you
you,
triggered in a call?
Oh my God, love your brother. You
Bada
do,
bing.
you do matter, and you stick in there. I was hearing it right there at the end. We've had that moment, but again, crushing the narratives. All right, there's going to be women in here saying, I'm the one paying child support. It's not always going to be across the board. Many times I think when we see that, Dwayne, it's because they make more money.
Right.
There are situations out there where she makes more money. Look at Kelly Clarkson. Everybody's talking about Kanye right now. I think Kelly Clarkson's, their money's up there too. They make more money. So if we want to, get this incentives, think about these jobs that people have as salesmen. What do these jobs usually offer them? They give them sales goals, because if you hit this sales goal, you're going to make more money. Well, they do the same damn thing in family court with these incentives. So moms, when you're facing it too, understand that's the same battle that the majority of these guys are going through over here. And I've heard this scenario too. I am sitting here paying all these bills. I'm paying this child support. I'm paying the medical. I'm doing all this, and they don't even work a job, Dwayne. They don't even work a job. Oh, dude, really? So in the court's mind, it is the dad's responsibility to go out there and sacrifice his hard work, his time, and everything, so the mom that doesn't want to pay a job can raise the kid. Wouldn't it make more sense if there's a guy over here that does have the house, that does have what he could provide for the child? Let him provide for the child.
But that's not how Title 4D works.
No. Why wouldn't it work that way? And let's get into Section 8. I'm going to tell you, unpopular conversation. And dude, it happens to all races. As you can see, it's in every state. It's in almost just about every country in the world that this crap is going on. But the target that they put on black fathers, dude, that used to be one of the strongest family units out there. And the statistics just in the last 50 years have completely flipped. We're nearing 80% of fathers in the black household are not there. Fatherless children. Dude, Section 8, a lot of these incentives came to destroy that family, and they've done a damn good job at it. These incentives are deadly.
It's almost like they planned it. I mean, actually, if you go to, and I didn't want to plug my site, but pissedoffparent.com, and you go to the video section, I have about 10 or 15 videos that talk about the Black community and the absentee fathers. And you're going to have speeches by former President Barack Obama. You're going to have a number of different videos that talk about that in data. But when you look, I mean, again, the data that you have available to you, HHS and CDC and all that stuff, it does break it out by gender, race, all the different demographics. And when you look at the data over the last, say, 50, 60 years of what they've done, picking on the Black community here, what they did, I mean, Black Lives Matter, you want to do something? Go look at the data and get mad over that. That's what you should be mad over.
Why the Black Lives Matter? Why are fathers a target in that community?
I mean, I'd love to say I had
read it.
Read the data. I mean,
not just the data. I'm talking about the mission statement.
Oh, the mission statement.
Yeah, fathers. No. Why wouldn't you want fathers? Wouldn't you think that when there's a community that's suffering that bad from fatherlessness, you would be doing things to promote getting fathers back in the home instead of vilifying them?
Funny.
Don't you think there would be, if they made incentives for moms to be able to take care of the children, and you have this fatherless problem, and then you're getting all these different government programs and funding, where is the resources made to get him back in the home? It's almost like they don't want it to be fixed, Dwayne.
They don't want it. No. And it's funny you mentioned that because, again, picking on text a little bit and looking at some of the data there, but it's national, is they do have programs to get fathers and fatherhood initiatives and things like that, but there's no incentive. The incentive isn't enough. It's more to do the child support than to get the dad back in the house or get the parent or get the family structure going again. I mean, this stuff writes itself. It's crazy.
Can I pick on some politicians really quick?
Oh, please.
Okay, here you go. There is fatherhood bills and initiatives and all this crap out there, and they do it. And it sounds so good because we don't hear about father stuff much. So when people hear it, yes, let's go after that. There was a bill that was passed last year. I'll keep your state out of it. They know who they are because they tried to come to me and like, oh man, look at what we did. And I was like, so what does it do? Oh, we help them get better jobs so that they can make more money. I was like, does it address family law? No, stop making it about money. It's like, but you're wanting them to get better jobs so that they can make more money. Now, who in return, when you know that there's a percentage of that money going back to the state, so was it 2/3? 2/3. Who is going to benefit from that? They make these things seem like all this glitter that is going to help you. And they are full of crap, man. Crap. And somebody needs to be calling them out on it. Dude, right now, I'll pick on both sides. I talk about the liberals and how they identify with feminism and how they created VAWA and stuff. On the conservative side right now, the Unborn Child Support Act. They want you to pay from the moment that she says she's pregnant. And one of the caveats, okay, there's a couple of those different bills out there. One of those is if she doesn't want to take a paternity test, she don't have to. She's got to have the right. So I can say that you're the father. Hey, I can pick my sugar daddy. Which one's making the money, right? And then I don't have to give a paternity test. Imagine that. It's almost like men are a target. They are, okay? You guys need to hear from Carnell Smith. I was talking to him yesterday. 11 years that man paid in child support. 11 for a child that wasn't his. And then when he found out, he asked the judge, it's not my child. I shouldn't have to be paying child support. Like I said, you should have found out sooner.
But they will fight you to get the paternity test.
Yep. That is a hold up.
It's a whole other kind. Whoop, looks like I'm the host now. Adding on to what Eric. Oh, he's back. Whew, that was close. I almost had to take this myself. Trapped by law.
I wanted to show this to people, man. There is resources out there. They just don't get promoted enough. You're not going to see this on mainstream media. Check this book out. Trapped by Law. Stop paying child support for paternity fraud. Yes, he is. Man, dude, there's another subject, but if we get into it, the stories are heard with him. There was one case, and this is what's going to happen with that Unborn Child Support Act. I can see it already. There was one case, woman gets pregnant. Her and the dad knew that she was pregnant, but that neither of them had that much money. So there was another guy that was around, had his act together. She went and flirted with him, had sex with him, and made him think he was the daddy. Okay. He paid for years in child support. And I guess around when the kid turns 12, a lot of people think you can see it sooner. Sometimes you can. But when the kid turned around 12, they was like, something's up here. And they got a paternity test. He found out he was not the father. Mom goes to jail right after this, unrelated to that.
Oh, okay. I'm going, whoa.
Mom goes to jail, unrelated to that. Okay. And so guess what happens? Bio dad, who was in on this, now has custody of the kid. Guess who the victim of paternity fraud is paying child support to now? The bio dad. The victim. Think of what you've done to that man. You want to know why guys are going crazy? Dude, don't you think that would have made a good story on mainstream media? Don't you think they could have got some sensationalism out of that? I just hate the way it's all connected, man. We've got to become the media, guys. We've got to become the media, because you ain't going to hear this anywhere else. But check that book out.
Oh, yeah. It's a great book.
That was a long way to do a plug. All right. We're going to get through another voicemail. And man, we're at an hour and a half.
Just getting warmed up.
Just getting warmed up. I do. We hadn't scratched the surface. 762-441-0281.
Hi. Just wanted to weigh in on the subject. Joint physical custody, I believe no child support should be awarded. It's wrong to make one person pay the other person, especially when both parties have equal time and equal responsibilities with the child. If it's sole custody, meaning one party has full custody and the other does not get to see the children, but maybe limited to weekends or every other weekend, something like that, then I think, yes, child support should be considered, but all income should be taken into account. I don't think that the amount paid for child support should ever be based solely on what the paying party makes. All mandatory, child support should be based on what all avenues of income are for both parties. I'm not sure what it's like in other places, but in our state, it's rigged. Whichever parent has the job when the divorce is granted, that's the parent who's ordered to pay the child support. So say a married woman has an affair, leaves her husband, moves in with her boyfriend during the divorce. Say her lawyer advises her to quit work while the divorce is going on so she can stay home and take care of her children. When the divorce is ordered, she doesn't have an income on paper, so she has no job. And the ex-husband does have income because he didn't have a lawyer that advised him to quit his job and stay home and take care of the children during the divorce. So guess who gets to pay child support when the gavel goes down? It's the husband, the one who ever has the job whenever the divorce is awarded. And not only child support, but they have to pay health care as well. They have to pay for insurance for the children because they're the ones with the job. And it's already that, but then whatever the reasonable amount is considered only the payer's income. Nothing else is taken into consideration, not the people who the either ex-spouse lives with, not any support being given from anybody else. Say they live with people and they have other, roommates or whatever. Nothing is considered. It is just the person with the income, and their income is only considered because they're the ones with the job when the gavel went down. And I don't think it's right. I think it needs to be reevaluated, and I think it needs to be changed.
It almost sounds like in that voicemail, she described Title 4D.
To a T.
Yeah, that's how it was designed to happen. And for, dude, this is just going nuts right here. For any of you guys that are showing up for the first time because of this conversation, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. I think part of the reason why Title 4D has been allowed to exist like it has is because most people don't know about it until they're going through it.
Right.
Once you're going through it and you're here, we're in an echo chamber. We're in an echo chamber because we all get it. But talk to somebody about it on the outside and see if you can get them to relate, right? There's people that do have empathy. There is. But this is a very, very, very important conversation. And I agree with every one of these callers. There's several moments when you're listening to these. Yep.
Yeah, they're nailing it.
They are.
And the stories are just repeating themselves. I mean, they all have that same thing. I mean, and it's funny. The lady was talking about, the lawyer advised her client to quit her job. I mean, it's a don't feed the bears situation, but trying to do that so they can get that government assistance. And government assistance is set up to where they can make some decent money off of that for sitting down and doing nothing. And then you're penalizing and punishing the responsible person. It's wrong, but again, it's so profitable for states to do this. They don't see a reason to change. And to your other point of, being able to relate and talk to other people about it, again, we're in an echo chamber. We have got to get this information out in the public square, get it to people that think this is okay, and use logic and reason and facts and calmly work them through that to where they become advocates and understand it. Because again, this is going to be someone's kid. This is going to be, I can go again. I'll stop because tinfoil hat and other.
I got you, man. I mean, yeah, we do got to get it out there. I've talked to studio execs and, some of the bigger guys, some of the news channels, even. I was about to say their names, but they all tell me the same thing. We would cover it, but it's a divisive topic and it's not sexy for TV. Right. And they don't think it will get ratings. They don't think that would get ratings. I guarantee you, if we had a show like this on Sirius XM or something like that, dude, they wouldn't be able to control the phone lines because these guys have stories. And I've looked at them. I was like, okay, is that what you think? Look at the Depp case, right? I know you think it's because of Depp, but that was probably the most popular case since O.J. Simpson, right?
Oh,
this will make ratings. This will make ratings. But the system is working the way it was designed, and it's up to us guys to change it, because there is nobody out there that's going to do it for us.
Oh no,
there's just not. I know everybody's waiting for the Superman to come by this or the president of the movement. I'm the one. It's not happening. It's not.
It's going to be Mike the plumber. It's going to be millions of Mikes and Sue's the plumbers and things like that. And, you've talked a few times about it, but, the liking, the sharing, that's how the major organizations, news organizations are going to get involved. Because, the things that you see on Fox or CNN or whatever you're into, what they do is they see something that gets funneled up through the algorithm. They go, oh, this looks interesting. And the next thing you know, it's on their show. And then it explodes from there. It goes viral and all that. That's how it's going to happen. We need people to like, share, subscribe, talk about this stuff. That's how it's going to change. The only way it's going to change.
Another one of the things that I heard from the executives, they say it's common. People want to get this on mainstream media or whatever cause it is they got because they want to get the issue out there. Make no mistake, it's going to be the same with the politicians. They don't want to touch it until it is hot, right? You don't get on there for them to make you. You get on there so that they can profit off of what you're doing. That's just the way it goes, man. When you got to go back to work, Wayne?
I've taken the day off. I do have, even though I'm off today, I still have 2 or 3 meetings that I have to run. Life of a.
I know I got you. But, is that anytime soon or?
I think the next, noonish Central Time. So I think we're good.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to keep rolling with the calls as long as you're here. And seems like everybody's pretty much sticking around. Keep them coming. 762-441-0281. Here's the next caller.
Hi, Carol. It is Joshua Pate. And I had a situation where the mother of my children falsely accused me of harassment in 2014. And then in 2015, they slammed me with child support, even though I had been in a big regret and didn't have a job. And the judge just looked at me and said, figure it out. My daughter was being sexually molested that entire time, and I was advocating from 2014. the false allegations, unfortunately, I had to fight those for 7 years. And then I found out that my daughter was proven to be sexually molested in 2016. My ex has now adopted my children in the state of Georgia to her new husband, even though I've paid over $23,000 on child support with her, as well as the state of Tennessee and the state of Georgia. They both lived there. My parents had custody, so I've had my parents' child support, which was about $3,700. And then I had my ex's child support on me, which was got up to $50,000 because I was in a big rig wreck, and I wasn't able to recoup fast enough. But child support doesn't care about that. We're just numbers to them. Pretty much a woman can destroy your life and get paid for it. I've been parental alienated, falsely accused of a crime of criminal harassment when I was telling the mother that our daughter was being molested, and my daughter told me that in 2014, and then she moved from Tennessee to Georgia and didn't tell the Georgia officials that the abuse had been taking longer than that. She didn't notify me of what had been done to my daughter so I could go to court against the perpetrator. The perpetrator was her babysitter's husband. And after all of this, and I start fighting for justice for my child, she then adopts the children in Georgia. And, you know, the arrearages, it was up to $50,000, and my child support with her, they've just stopped. But she got $23,000 paid off of one of my injuries from work. Hi, Carol.
Dude. That one definitely brought down the mood. There was a conversation that we had the other day, and I think it was the first time I heard it talked about in this community. And it's hard to talk about these subjects when you have personal experience in the arena. But the sad thing about what we're doing here, and we got to keep in mind, guys, false allegations are rampant. They are. It's a way the silver bullet has become a tactic in family court, and it really messes. We're really on the same side, we should be, as some of the domestic violence and some of these, children organizations, because there are cases where these kids are being sexually abused, they're being physically abused, and I had no idea, Dwayne, because again, we were supposed to stay silent. I was on there talking about male domestic violence. 1 in 3 men will be victims of physical domestic violence. 1 in 6 will be victims of sexual abuse before the age of 25. How many men have you heard talking about being, sexually abused? I know this caller is with a girl, but again, it's the topic I don't want to talk about. I was one of those. I was one of those. And let me tell you something about your daughter, brother. Real victims, most of the time, almost all of the time, don't talk. They are afraid, or they feel like it's their fault. So maybe she didn't talk. Okay. And that's probably what's going on there. But it seems like those allegations made it over this way. And in this particular subject where it's been used as a tactic, there was a child that actually went through this abuse, and there needs to be some type of justice.
I have thoughts on that one.
Go ahead.
None that I can say on open mic.
That's
the thing, is it just takes so much. I mean, I was smiling and happy, and then hearing about this guy, and he starts talking about that. Just, I mean, you just go from that immediate. I can't even imagine what he's going through. And he's talking about child support. I'm like, the damage to that daughter at the hands of a piece of trash, and the dad, he's powerless to do anything about it. the courts are probably I mean, again, we weren't there, but ignoring what was happening. And as long as they get that check every month, I have a report. I'm trying to find it on the site, but they talk about who commits domestic or child violence, sexual assault, and things like that. And the numbers, I'm hoping to find it before I say it out loud because I remember the numbers, but it's the stepdad, that's who.
Oh yeah.
Uncle, or it's the step relationship that does that, and the data's on the site. Child abuse by relationship and things like that. And when you talked about the false allegations, Florida actually did a study. It's national, and then also Florida, the state. 70% of all allegations of abuse and things like that are false, done for the purpose of getting the upper hand in child support. We have here in Texas one of the district attorneys teaching classes. You can actually watch the class. Jeff Morgan videotaped it, but she taught a class on how to get the upper hand, as she put it, in a divorce case by doing the abuse.
Yeah. And the thing is, we talked about Mighty Mouse last week, the stepdads that come into one of these situations where the bio dad's having to fight for rights, and he thinks he's here to save the day, and whatever she tells him, he then becomes her protector. Here he comes, right? And so stepdads can be a very big problem sometimes, guys. Trust me. At the same time, what does alarm me, I'm a stepdad. Dwayne, are you a stepdad?
I am.
And so they're going through these, they could be going through those allegations too, because how easy would it be for somebody to listen that, oh, stepdad, now that I'm going through a divorce with him or something that's bad, he did this to my stepdaughter. That allegation is going to stick even more than if it was your biological child. Right.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason, like, we need to be really dipping down into this, making sure there is real claims behind this. And if somebody, I don't know why this hasn't been done. I know perjury is supposed to be against the law. If somebody could accuse somebody of these acts knowingly, there might be times where you hear it, and because you're a parent, you got to defend it and you got to do the homework, but you still did what you need to. There's a difference in that type of allegation, right? But somebody that maliciously does that just to get the upper hand for you, why are they not sitting in prison?
Courts promote it.
Yes, they do.
Courts of equity, so they're not law, they're not criminal, not civil, well, branch of, but they're courts of equity. So those things are allowed and encouraged and promoted. I mean, that's just a normal thing because, again, there's cash and prizes at the end for people that make those allegations. We've all had them made against us. That's why a tape recorder is your best friend.
Absolutely, man.
Have one on you 24/7.
Guys, dipping down into it, we're going to get to a few more of these. I think we'll probably take it to the 2-hour mark, and then we'll just have to cut it for another day. 762-441-0281. Keep them coming. As long as you keep them coming, we're going to keep talking about it.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I got an ex-wife from probably like 15 years ago. I got a daughter and a son with her. My daughter's 22 years old. She's out the house, been out the house. I wonder why my child support ain't went down. So probably like 6 months. And I called and they said, like, this woman found a crazy loophole that says that the dollar amount of child support doesn't change until the youngest child is out the house. So I'm paying child support for 2 kids. She found some crazy loophole. This child support system is a very flawed system for fathers.
All right, straight to the point.
Dude, straight to the point. I love it, man. And as you can tell, we've got all kinds of mix of callers that are coming in here from all over the place that is going through this. I mean, I saw one yesterday and I was like, that's kind of a different one. I don't know if it's because the kid was going to school or not, but this lady actually thought she was making herself look good. And she said, look, I just went ahead and stopped child support with my child because the ex made such a big deal out of it. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want the child support. The child was 21, Dwayne. She thinks that she did this guy a favor by stopping child support at 21.
Yeah. Well, the way child support is set up, I mean, if you die, they go after your estate. You can't discharge it in a bankruptcy. They will get their money. And this is probably going to explode a number of things here. is, you talk about, oh, I got an agreement with my girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, on a kid. They can go back in a lot of states, Texas being one of them. But if you have an agreement and you're paying them, they can go back, put you on child support, and they will get retroactive child support on you, even though you paid. And I know they're going to say, oh, put the name on the check and things like that. That doesn't work a lot. It does work, but not a lot. So child support, when they talk about they've harnessed this system, they've refined it, it is refined. There was not a loophole. It was designed that way.
I wonder if they had passed legislation saying if us dads said we will pay for the needs of the child, give it diapers, like I said, clothes, food, all that, if they need some medical care. But here's my deal. The government doesn't make a penny off of it. Okay. And we can do this outside of the courts, right? And if not, then it goes to family court.
Right.
No, I don't.
Never happened.
Family court being an answer altogether. But if you try to take their incentives out of it, that's where the conversation is going to end. The sad thing is, I was told when I talked to these politicians, Eric, don't bring up Title 4D. And I didn't. Well, actually, it's crazy. The first political conference I went to, Dwayne, I had never talked to a politician. I hate politics. And then next thing I know, I'm sitting there on Media Row, and every 5 minutes, I got a different politician sitting down with me. And I was like, okay, I'm about to get broken in. And so I'd start the conversation. I'd be like, do you know about Title 4D? That was the first thing I said. Every single one of them. Nope. No, they didn't even know what was going on. And I'd explain it to them. It was like, this is criminal. I was like, we agree.
Yeah.
I met one over that whole weekend that knew about it. But you could see their face change when you tell them that the state's making money off of it. They're all in for it. They think it's all crooked. And then they hear, oh, funding? Is that where we're getting some of our funding?
Oop, we're not touching that.
No, they ain't going to touch that, man. It's so sad.
Now, the politicians, they all know about it. They'll play dumb. I mean, I've actually on the site, I've actually grabbed clips of different legislators, politicians that have heard about the conversation and then come back around and say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I had a politician in my front driveway going for a local DA thing tell me that they've never heard of this certain piece when they've talked about it 3 or 4 times. I mean, it's politics.
We got a politician in here commenting right now. I'm going to read the comment from XXX18.online. Find love on the new dating site. Scam.
No, thank you.
All right. I just want to do it. Do not click on those guys.
Do not do
I only brought it up because I said do not click on it. All right, guys, we're going to get on to this next call. Keep them coming in.
Hi, it's Randall Stone. I've been teaching for years that people need to read statutes, codes, and ordinances and figure out what they really mean. If you look at 42666, it is the only positive interpretation of the Child Support Act. And there's only 2 requirements. They must be in danger of welfare or they must be on welfare in order for a court to legally grant child support. And people using the Bradley Amendment need to research the Bradley Amendment because there is no such thing. It never got out of committee. They need to look at the omnibus bill, which the Bradley Amendment infiltrated with all these regulations. And it simply says that you cannot change modifications of arrears on a legal order. That's almost a direct quote. Without repeal and replace, child support is for welfare recipients or those that are in danger. Ask for a fact-finding hearing. Use 42666 as your basis. That they prove the child's going to be in danger of welfare. Thank you for your time. You can deny this or accept it, or you can actually research and find out that my research is correct. Thank you very much.
All right, Randall. I appreciate that coming in, man. Guys, I didn't even think about this, Dwayne. I got to do it at the beginning of every episode. So if you don't hear me say it, make sure I say it. We're not attorneys. We're not giving you legal advice here. And we have to put these things out there because we don't want anything
Yeah.
Just like family court, anything they can find can and will be used against you. So nothing that we're doing here is legal advice. And I don't think we've talked to any attorneys today, but he did bring up an interesting perspective. I haven't heard that one before, but I could see you shaking your head. You got some thoughts on that call?
Yeah, it's one of those, there's parts where he's right. And the thing is, though, is that they all make the laws and pass the laws and do the different things. And if you go over the pages of laws that were put in place, there was later sections that at first it's only for welfare recipients, then, well, the greater good. And then it slowly gets into interpretations and then slowly pulls it all in towards Title 4D, non-Title 4D. There was all these different things. And the thing is, that's where, again, 99% of Americans are lost on the word Title 4D.
Yep.
To do that is you're going to lose. I mean, while he could be right, I'm going to say he's right or wrong. Because he's losing most of the audience.
Yes.
No, your audience.
I was thinking the same thing, dude. When we was doing the trips around the country and going to the capitals, there were several of them. There wasn't a city that we went to that I didn't say, we're going to be at the Capitol this day. If you want to come with us, we'll go in there, show you what we do. I'll sit back, observe, tell you what you could do or what you, not that I'm a expert or anything at it, but I've talked to a few politicians in my day, and I would sit back and try to watch some of these guys, and they would just go in there into the Title 4D and the bill numbers and the laws. And you're seeing this guy sitting there. It's not even sticking. Right? You're talking to people that you're trying to educate them. You know how I've always explained Title 4D to Wayne? I say, do you know that the government makes a percentage off of the money paid in child support? I leave it there. That's enough to make people say, what the hell?
What? Yeah.
They're making money off of it. Then if they start asking you questions, there's genuine interest.
Right.
Just going and like unloading some of that. Sometimes, no, but I am glad we've got these experts and stuff in here that know this, because it's confusing.
Oh,
but
it is.
If it's confusing, most people are going to get confused and they might check out.
And that's what happens. They're going to check out. You need to have, infographics, little visuals that can take complex ideas and break it down into the basic, easy to understand, easy to regurgitate back to somebody else. Because again, if you lose somebody, you're not going to win them over.
No, and it's hard to keep people's interest with it. That's why we try to mix a little bit of funny with a little bit of serious, try to find some balance, because we're going through a hurtful subject here.
Right.
You still can laugh. We can still have fun. Okay. Anyway, we are going to get to this next call. Keep it coming. 762-441-0281.
Hello, my name is Matthew. I'm from Las Vegas. My daughter is currently sleeping on my chest right now. I just wanted to say thank you for your Instagram handle. It's a lot of support. It's great. I'm going through a divorce right now, and I managed to get 50-50 custody, but she asked for 100% custody, so she lost that battle. I found out that she's only entitled to $548 a month for child support, and that's making her more upset. Do you feel, I'm not sure, I'm torn. Should I offer her more because I'm in the position to do so? Or should I say just let bygones be bygones and then just take care of my daughter and buy more stuff for her? So I don't know what to do in this situation. I don't really feel guilty or bad right now, but I may, because she is poisoning the well with my daughter, and I have videos and recordings of her doing so, telling her to call me Matthew, not Dad, and telling her that I'm a piece of shit and all this kind of crap, like he's the most horrible person ever. I don't know. So, yeah, my final question is, should I offer more, or should I just stay with where I'm at? Thank you. Bye.
I mean, that's dude. And here is one of the good fathers right here.
Yeah.
Who is actually, do I need to go ahead and do more? He's saying I could do more, but look, this is what she's doing to me. If you do something, do it for your daughter, right? If you're paying your child support, if you're wanting to do more, do it for your daughter. And when you get to see your daughter, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sound like a great dad. He's thinking about the right things. He's going to do the right thing for his child, which is what all this is about. And I personally would not offer more, because that becomes the new rule. If they were saying 500, you offer 1,000, that's where you're at. And if you lose your job or things change or whatever, that's what you're stuck with because that's what you've been paying. What I recommend doing is, pay the state minimum, whatever they're telling you that is, and then send her a check. Send her, or when you have the child, if it's about, shoes or whatever, do that. But yeah, you want to keep the state out of it as much as possible.
I can finish your sentence.
Yeah.
It's the truth, man. Just do it on your own merits. Look, maybe you say, I got some extra money and I got, I'm doing pretty good. My house is paid up, my car is paid up or whatever. I want to do more for her because she's my daughter. Open up a banking account, make her a savings account. And then that way, when she turns 18 or those hard times come, look what daddy's got for you. Right.
I'd be careful there because the child support will come after it as a bank thing.
I understand that.
I understand the
this
point.
guy this guy might be one of the ones that's above that. I hope that he's above that. Or Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're not offering legal advice or financial advice, but Bitcoin.
No, we are not. But there's a reason why they hate it. All right.
One thing that he did say made me think of something else is the other parent is saying, oh, all they do is they pay their child support and that's it. Well, if you make it reasonable, they'll step up and do more. That
100%.
creates that opportunity. I mean, if they see the child needs new shoes or a trombone, in my oldest son's case, you'll pay the money because most parents want to do the right thing. But when you're breaking their backs, they have to decide between the electric bill and the food bill. That's where they're at.
Dude, some of the most petty things that these parents will do, like if I buy the child a backpack or if I buy him a ball or anything that has to stay at my house, it can't go over there. It's like, what in the world does the other parent want with your damn backpack? Or what? I hate bringing my own situation. My daughter came to me not long and goes, I got a ball. I'm not able to bring it. I said it had to stay here. The last one I had when it was at the house, it got messed up. And I was like, okay, did I play with that ball? She said, no. I said, did my wife play with that ball? No. Did your siblings play with that ball? No. She's like, it broke when it was here. I was like, okay. I was like, but because it was in my house. It's petty, man. Petty. Like, what the hell do I need? You don't think I can go buy a Dollar General ball?
Right.
But there's some of the things, dude. Toothbrushes, you name it. Whether you let the kid eat candy or not, the arguments that go on in this community.
Some are crazy. I had one just reminded me. It's funny. I had 50-50 at the time, paying $1,000 a month in child support, and my kids, when I would get them back, they had the pants were like 10 sizes too big, holy religious jeans. I mean, just horrible stuff. And they get off to school, and I'm like, this is horrible. So I went out. I remember doing that. I went out and bought like 10 pairs of jeans. So it's in the custody schedule. That should have lasted who knows how long. And then over like the next few weeks, it was right back to where it was. They'd be returned with bad pants or messed up pants. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And my son goes, well, Mom, she takes those pants, keeps those, goes to the thrift store and buys these pants and then makes sure that you wear them. She actually would go to school and make him change pants to the bad ones before coming over to my house. So petty. Sorry, I had to share that story.
No, it's okay. Here's one that'll inflame some guys. Again, personal experience. I do that so I'm relating to you when I'm talking about this. I'm not just telling you somebody's story. How many of you have paid the child support and then you get the thing, hey, your child needs something. Hey, they need some clothes or they need some. I've had that. Hey, your baby is long sleeve shirts. They need diapers. I already paid child support. It wasn't even court ordered, Dwayne.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even court ordered to pay it. And then when I pay that, because I paid the same amount that I paid for my other child that was court ordered, I became a shitty father because I wasn't paying the amount that they want. So I'm already getting put down for that. But now I need long sleeve shirts. I need diapers. Dude, I went to Target, bought tons of long sleeve shirts and tons of Pampers. I became a crappy father because I didn't give the money. It's a mother that's supposed to pick out those things.
Right.
How dare you pick out those shirts? Now they don't fit. And then the Pampers gave a chemical reaction.
Oh, boy.
You got the wrong diapers. And here is a dad that goes out there and tries. And then that's what we get.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we get. So I say to you again, guy, if it's got to funnel through stuff like that, nah, do for your daughter. Find a way to do for your daughter. Keep it out. Yep.
Be a good dad. Sounds like you already are. Be a good dad. Just continue doing it.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, man. We're going to get back on to the next one.
Sorry.
That time again.
That was my, let me know I have another hour before my meeting.
You're good, man. We ain't going to go that much longer. I'm going to try to take like 2 or 3 more guys. And Dwayne, we just doubled what we still got on here in the inbox already. So
Keep them coming.
Keep them coming, dude. If that's what you guys want us to talk about, if this is striking with you, as long as you're here, we're going to talk about it. 762-441-0281. Here we go.
Hey, Dead Talk. My name's Corey. I am from Greenville, South Carolina, 44. Just a little background. I have a previous marriage that I was married to someone 2003, 2011. Had a child together, a son, and when I left, he was 2 years old and went through the whole court system. But before that, I was a victim of domestic violence from my ex-wife. I was punched in the chest while holding my son while she was having a bipolar episode. Till this day, I cannot stand the fact that the doctor changed her medicine so many different times to where I felt the effects of it. Name called, I wasn't providing enough, used every name in the book against me, punched several times, pushed several times, everything to, you're a dummy. I wish you made more money. Why don't you go get 2 jobs so you can support me? While the whole time she's the one who was the breadwinner. Fast forward years later, I'm remarried, just had a recent newborn. But the relationship between my son and my previous marriage has been severed by a narcissistic ex-wife whose only agenda is to make my life a living hell. And she succeeded in that. We've been sued numerous times, serious allegations against myself and my wife. But every time a lawyer gets involved, all these allegations, there's no proof of anything. There's no evidence. But it's just frustrating that someone can be so evil to bring up these allegations and not be held accountable for their accusations, serious accusations. I really appreciate the show. I really appreciate the Instagram account and hearing stories. I am so happy that I found this because still today I still struggle with being a good father to my newborn and trying to repair the relationship with my son, who's now 13, who has nothing. He wants nothing to do with me because of the lies from the ex-wife. But I hope y'all have a good day. Thanks.
Dwayne, this was a call I got earlier today, and I knew it didn't have to do with child support, but it was continuing on with the male domestic violence. And when I heard that, I said, I want to talk to this gentleman because I got a good point and a bad point. I heard when I know we are hearing from a loving, frustrated father, and I'm going to tell you why. I heard where he's like, I'm dealing with a narcissistic mother. Guys, be careful calling him narcissist, bipolar, if it's diagnosed, that's one thing. Be careful with that because they think you're just trying to put a label on somebody so you can get the upper hand, right? Be careful. Please stop using labels.
Narcissist.
I mean, we know the behaviors. Yeah. You don't have to tell anybody on here how much have we related this whole episode. Let's get the terminology out of there because I promise you the alienators are going around calling people narcissists and bipolar and all this same shit, dude. It's not effective. It's not even saying parental alienation, not effective. Okay. Show the behaviors of what's going on. Right. But I can tell how genuine this guy is. And I'll tell you why. He was a loving dad, and it sounded like he was a loving husband because he started talking about the abuse he went through. And he was like, the doctor, he just had her on all these different medications. And then I suffered. He was making excuses for her. That's carried on from your relationship. I can
Oh, yeah.
see that a mile away. You
Mhm.
were one of these abused guys. I've done it, been there, and you'll make excuses for the abuse that you've went through because you're trying to show somewhat empathy. You're trying to understand why it is they're doing the things that they're doing. And we will even do that as men to excuse the behaviors against us. If there is somebody that is punching you, there is somebody that's hitting you, there is somebody that's mentally abusing you. Let me tell you something right now in this camera. Nobody has the right to put their damn hands on you. Okay. And you got out of a relationship you needed to get out of. I can hear the love in you, guy, but you're going through a war right now. Okay. And I appreciate these guys being brave enough to come and say stuff like this gentleman did just here. Could you imagine going on a talk show saying, I'm being accused of this. I was hit. I've been accused of molesting my children or beating my wife. They're going on there and it's bad enough to be accused of something, but I'm admitting to the whole world. This is what I'm going through. Let me tell you something. Guilty people aren't going to do that. Deadbeats aren't going to do that, guys. They're not. Every once in a while, you might see one in here, but they're going to be a rare.
And you'll be able to see through it pretty quickly.
You can see through it. There's been times I've got the calls and the hair stands up on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty easy. I had somebody say, "Oh, Eric, no, you can't tell." You do.
Yeah.
You do. Trust me. If you've been doing this long enough, and I understand where that concern comes from, because so he talks about narcissists, though, right? How many times have you heard that person that's going through this really bad situation with this person that was very charming? They're very good at making you think that they're somebody that they're not. Hell, I was even watching that video the other day where that lady was just abusing the crap out of the man and putting him through living hell. And if you wouldn't have seen her acting like that, she was a nice looking woman. And if she came up to you and had a nice voice and talked, it would be easy to see through that. Think of the sympathy that they get. Yes, it can be hard to spot for people that don't know what we're talking about, right? That's the key here for people that don't know what we're talking about.
The actual diagnosis, though, of narcissism and things like that, it's actually very low. And you should be, when you talk about, you should talk about the behaviors and things like that. And the other thing too is when you're dealing with that, you've got to set up boundaries on what you'll allow, because you're an adult. You should be able to say, hey, I'm not going to put up with this. And you don't need to say it out loud, but I'm not going to put up with this type of behavior. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Have that, resolve in your head on how you're going to handle that and then execute that plan. And you're going to suffer with the results of that your entire life. You're talking about what the guy was saying, he was making excuses. I had a PowerPoint presentation about why I wasn't good enough. A PowerPoint presentation for my first wife. Just a little personal data there for you.
Made a PowerPoint.
Well,
it's so hard to explain to people. Now, even my wife, I didn't realize until not long ago we got to talking about it, and she was like, "I didn't know that." And I was like, "Oh, I haven't told you." Dude, dad talk is what kept my head on. I could help people with the other stuff, and I tell people to stay calm, handle their emotions and stuff. But when I'm faced with my own stuff, dude, I know what it does up here. That's what I was talking about yesterday. I understand why guys go silent. If everything they do, they seem like they keep hitting a dead end. At some time, most of us that are here, they want one thing: peace.
They want peace.
They want peace, and they will go after peace, even if that ends up being used against them. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you speak, it's going to be used against you. If you don't speak, you're a deadbeat and you're absent. It's like, I'm not a deadbeat or absent if I'm asking to see my kid and you're not allowing me.
Well,
right? Because you've got the control. They've got the control of the children. They got the control of the narrative. And hell, going with today's subject, they got control of your money.
Exactly. Well, that video that you showed yesterday, I mean, the guy was trying to talk to his daughter and she was just muscling in and doing all kinds of stuff. I don't know why he just didn't go, you know what? I can't deal with this. You get to the point where you can't wake up. You can't lift your arm in the morning. I've been there. Everyone's been there.
Dwayne, I would have that, after I stopped playing, in the beginning, I didn't know what gaslight and all that stuff was. And so I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. You'd make an allegation or a lie against me and be like, what the hell did you just say? Like, are you seriously listening to what you're saying right now? And then after a while, I started realizing, like, every time they do that, I get upset and then I end up arguing and all I was wanting was peace. right? All I want to know is when I can see my kid or when I can do this, but I end up in this long argument that I do not want to be a part of. But that's what happens when I want to see my child. What ended up happening? You go to attorneys. You can't afford them. The courts don't want to listen. So what happens is you feel like you've got nothing left but these thoughts in your head, right? They ended up making me to go to a counselor in therapy. And then I realized at some point, until I can do something, I've got to be able to pull back and take care of me because I'm about to lose it. Like I'm literally about to lose. A lot of these guys are hanging on by a thread, man. They're hanging on by a thread, guys. And so then they're going to shame him. Oh, you're a deadbeat. You're absent. He's a deadbeat and he's absent if he didn't try. If he tried and he had to back off from the fight, that is a man doing everything he can to stay on this earth. There's a reason why male suicide is as high as it is right now. It is 7 times higher. I'm from, if the statistic's still correct, it was 7 times higher in men than in women.
Oh, yeah.
This book, I'm plugging all kinds of people's products.
Blood
The Boy
Crisis.
Crisis by Dr. Warren Farrell. Nah, dude, this is a great book. It's got these statistics in there. That's the reason why these guys are dropping like flies, right? And so I'm glad we're having that, dude. I'm hoping we are empowering some guys out there, man. Keep that conversation going through it. If you're a victim of domestic violence, it's just as disgusting as it's happening to you as it's happening to a woman. If you're going through this system with the child support or anything else, it doesn't matter what sex you are. If somebody's carrying out these behaviors, it's wrong. But we've got to break the stigma. We've got to break the narrative, guys. That's what we're going to do here. All
Get in that support group. You have I don't know if you had a chance to talk about it, but join the Dad Talk Today support group. Call the hotlines. I mean, you've got to get this information out, or got to get the pain out and talk about it, because that's how it's going to get better. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to get better.
I love the hotline, man. It's cool. I mean, you can tell kind of where these guys are just by hearing their voice. It's like, okay, I know what stage he's in. I remember what my stages was like, the up, down. It's an emotional roller coaster, man. But if you've been here, you get it. And that's why it's important to be in those support groups. Get around people that understand it, because that's where you can find support. Also know that hurt people hurt other people. So you might be getting to somebody that's in that stage of grief and they're high emotions and can't nobody deal with them. We've seen them. And the alienators show up too. So you have to be careful. They disguise themselves. But all right, going off on a tangent. 2 more voicemails. 2 more. We got to get off here. We're 2 hours and 11 minutes. Dwayne's got meetings. 762-441-0281. Here we go.
Hey, this is Dika from Los Angeles. I really think that child support is a lifestyle at this particular point, and I think that child support should be there should be a system allocated to show what the child support is being spent on. So, for example, when you go to use the card, because I think that's what they're using now, is cards versus the checks they used to do in the past, that the cards are not to be allowed at, say, a nail shop or, I don't know, you going to go pay a bill or something like that. But I think that it should be able to be used for what the child needs, such as clothes, maybe the grocery store, what have you. But there should be a checks and balances to show what the card is being used for. And if that's too outlandish that you can't make it so the card can be used here or there, then there should be basically a spreadsheet with every quarter, and it should be able to show what your card was used on. So, for example, when you use your credit card or your debit card, where you get a statement every month, every quarter, there should be you, the social worker, and the mother should be able to go over the spreadsheet and say, this is what I used the card for, and if there's things that they're not supposed to use, that the mother used it for, then you should be reimbursed, just like if you were being audited for taxes. But right now, I think that the way that it's set up is just not fair, and I also believe that the reason that you get away with it the way they women get away with it is because the system is set up for them, and I don't think men are capable of, or they're capable, but I don't think they have the time or the energy to pick it in front of the White House or their state capitol to fight child support and its laws. I mean, heck, how are they going to do that and pay the child support at the same time? All right,
Busy
thanks.
working.
Well, I mean, look, dude. I mean, thank you for saying that. I've been saying that on the past couple of shows. I mean, they might not be showing up at the rallies; they're showing up here. So if this is how we've got to do it and how we can connect, keep showing up here, and we're going to keep doing it. There was many thoughts on that, though, Dwayne. I talk about crushing the narrative before it even gets used. When somebody hears the feminist or any of the opposition that have come in here and hears this gentleman talking about, I want proof of where my money's being spent. This is a guy that doesn't want to pay child support. That's all these guys are. They don't want to pay child support. It's interesting, Dwayne. Has there been one caller today that said they didn't want to support their kid?
Quite the opposite.
He's like, dude, you want to spend it on shoes? You want to spend it on this? I just don't want him spending it on I don't want him spending it on them. If it's child support, if it's wife support, it should be called wife support. I want it spent on my child. I haven't heard a single guy say they didn't want to support their child. Crush that narrative, because we know that narrative is BS, right?
Complete BS.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. You got some thoughts to add on to that one, Dwayne? I know you do.
Oh, well, we're already at 2 hours.
A little long. We're getting
Yeah, let's hit that next voicemail.
Let's get it, guys. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to get on out of here.
Hey, Eric, I'm going to jump right in. To this day, in spite of my repeated efforts, I've been allowed one hearing, a temp hearing, about 3 years ago. Before that hearing, I had full custody of my infant child. I took paternity leave and unpaid leave from work because I fully expected any reasonable judge to continue giving me full custody of my baby. Almost no evidence was heard and the court kept no record. The judge ordered child support paid to the mother. The judge made the mother primary and gave me daily visitation during the workday. Anyone with a moral compass in good condition who also knows the facts of my case would draw the same conclusion about the custody order, and anyone with a grasp of logic would draw the same conclusion about the child support combined with the schedule. So I was given the choice of seeing my baby and not getting paid, or getting paid and not seeing my baby. Either way, I had to pay the mother child support. Fast forward 10 months, a company takeover, COVID, and fearing for and fighting for my baby turned into me getting laid off with a bunch of other people. I exhausted unemployment pay while searching for similar income and work. Eventually I switched fields, but I haven't been able to make even a third of my previous income. For over 2 years, my income hasn't been a third of what it was when child support orders came in, but the court has repeatedly granted continuances, costing me a few thousand each time, refuses to have another temp hearing, and even refuses to schedule the final hearing until the newly elected judge starts working. So I can't get the child support orders adjusted for my income because the court won't even give a hearing. Also, early this year, something caused my child support payments to return to me. The AG won't work with me on it because I have a lawyer, and after paying $500 to my lawyer to resolve this, my payments still returned to me. So now my earnings that would have provided a good life for my child have not only been wasted by the mother through this battle and her lifelong behavioral problems, but they also are wasted by the AG that can't identify and fix their glitch. This is all in Texas. Thanks for having the show.
I know it's Texas.
Dude, I knew the second you said something about AG. Honestly, you don't really hear too many other states talking about that particular subject. But, it's something else I thought about. I was talking about all the callers here today and what they had in common. Have we really had any of these calls that were the same? They all keep bringing up different parts and failures of the system. Here comes a guy talking about an adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here, we've heard about license. We've heard about all these different things. Here's a guy. He's not making what he wants made, and he wants an adjustment. And then it becomes almost impossible. He's not saying I don't want to pay child support, but I can't pay the support they got me on.
Right.
Does he not have a right to do that?
A right to request a modification?
Well,
yes.
He's got the right to request, but...
Oh, he has a right to it. Well, it depends on the state. Texas, it's, I believe, 20% income, or it's been more than 3 years. Those are the two, or a huge lifestyle change or whatever has happened, then you can request a modification. They're, of course, slow to do that because then that would mean usually less child support, less Title 4D funds, so on and so forth. They're wanting to spend their time and effort getting more money, not less.
That's it. All right, guys. We've enjoyed being here with you, I promise. And I mean, we could have went for the rest of the day. I still got tons of voicemails, and we're still adding to them. 762-441-0281. Matt Anderson said, I would love to speak to you guys. I have a list a mile long. Listen to all the stories that are coming in today, guys. You can't keep up with all of them, but you got a chance. 3 minutes. Rehearse it before you get on there and call that phone line so that we can hear what you got to say. Really quick, before I get out of here, a couple of things to touch on. I'm going to take one more comment from Jules Gregory. He said, what if your daughter wants her nails done? It will take a lot of thought as how to do that. No, it doesn't. If he's paying for the medical care, he's paying for the clothes, he's paying for the diapers, he's paying for the food, then she can take some money out of her damn pocketbook and buy the nails. Okay? That's that. $20, $30. I'm just going to say it like that. It doesn't take much thought. They can do something too. It's not all on the dad. Plain and simple, right? I want to go through something very important with you guys, and we can only do it if we have the support of the community. Cheryl Feinberg is leading this right now. We are going through the child support issues. You hear the challenge that some of these dads are going through. There's some of them whose spouses have died. There's some of them whose kids have died. There's some of them that have been injured, and they're not going to be able to work. And the biggest holiday of the year is coming up, and they won't be able to do anything for their children. We want to sponsor a dad. I want to sponsor every single one of you guys, but we can at least make a difference for one of these dads out there. And if we can get in enough, I'll do it for even more. There was a couple of guys that donated $2 and $5 in here. Let me tell you something. That $2 and $5 means more to me than $1 million from a billionaire, because I know what you guys are going through. And it's the reason why we don't ask for donations. You guys are sending those in without us having to ask for them, and they do help. Okay. Mm-hmm. But this particular thing, 100% of the proceeds, 100% of the donations is going to go to sponsor one of these fathers for Christmas. So no, it's not like your child support. If you want receipts, we'll give you receipts to show you that that's what we spent the money on. We won't do like the child support system. If you want to see where your money went and how much money came in, but we want to do this for one of these dads, a Christmas tree, a supper, toys. Who knows? I wish we could pay some bills. Some of these guys might be able to buy Christmas if they could afford they can't even afford nothing for lunch, Dwayne, you know, half the time. And if they do, why did you go to McDonald's? You're eating out. You couldn't. That's money that you could have sent to your kid. They'll get shamed no matter what they do. So let's get together as a community and do this for them. I'll have this replayed tonight at 8:00. I thank Dwayne for being on probably one of the longer podcasts that he's been on. Okay. And we'll do it again tomorrow if he can show up. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. All right, guys, we're going to have some more statistics. Keep them in 762-441-0281. If you got questions, concerns, comments, we want to hear them all, man. Dwayne, I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for having me.
All right,
Love the time.
Never